Someone asked for a video explaining the different types of appraisals. Uh, in real estate, you have your commercial appraisals, typically cost and income. There will be times where cost could be used for residential, but typically it is strictly commercial. Cost is used, your cost approach is used when there are no other buildings in the area to compare it to. This would be most often used for things like a library or a post office, things that don't have income and they don't have a lot of comparables. You're not going to be able to look up and be like, okay, 10 libraries sold in this city, last year, and this is what they sold for. No. So you're going to have a cost approach to it. What the cost approach does is it takes the cost of the land, then you add on the cost of improvements minus the depreciation. Well, that's what all the books say, that's what all the videos say, but they don't really go too much in depth to it. So we'll say we are in Milwaukee, okay? And Milwaukee needs to get an appraisal on their library. Well, the library is sitting on a half acre of land, okay? And downtown Milwaukee, a half acre of land sells for $1.5 million. Okay. Now, the building that was built on it, your library, was built back in 1976. Okay. So what they have to do is they have to take what it would cost to build this building, and then they have to depreciate the building up to today. Well, 76 was 55 years ago. So you would have to take the building cost, what it would cost to rebuild that, and then depreciate it for 55 years. So if it cost $2 million to build this building, and that building was set to, where's my calculator? Set to have an 80-year usable life or economic life. So you would do 2 million divided by 80. So it depreciates $25,000 every year. So you take that 25,000 and you multiply it by 55, and that gives you 1.375 million. Okay, this isn't taking into account physical deterioration, the major things that need to be fixed on it. If the plumbing's gone, if the asbestos everywhere, if there's lead paint, everything needs to be encapsulated. That's not figuring into this. This is just straight line depreciation. So what you're looking at there is $625,000. That's what the building's worth. Now you add that to your land. Oh, the marker's dying. So you add 1.5 million plus 625,000, and you get 2,125,000. So the cost approach to this would make this library worth 2.125 million. I've seen this question, had an argument on one of the prep agent groups about this. There is a question on Prep Agent. It's on the Real Estate Ninja, and it's also on, it might have been the PSI exam, I'm not exactly sure, but it asks you, what approach would you use for a new construction apartment complex that does not have any rental history? The answer to that question on those exams is cost approach. There's definitely great arguments for income approach, which I'll explain next. But on those exams, and I passed the national, and I did have that question on my national exam. I picked cost approach. I passed. I think it was cost approach on that because I'm pretty sure it was cost approach on the PSI exam as well. I know it is on Prep Agent. I know it is on Real-Estate Ninja. So if you're asked that question about a brand new apartment building with no rental history, cost approach is going to be your answer. Now, income approach. This is what you would typically use for businesses, apartment complexes, anything that makes money. So you have your gross rent multiplier, and then you have your cap rate. Okay. Gross rent multiplier is simply taking your rent, multiplying it, multiplying it by how many months, dividing by the value, and gives you a gross rent multiplier. And once you have that gross rent multiplier, you can tell how much a building is worth. Your cap rate, you take your net operating income, which is the income minus expenses, etc., and then you divide that by the cap rate. So if you have an apartment complex that makes $24,000 net, and you decide that the cap rate on it is 12%, I believe it comes out to $200,000. The value of that building would be $200,000. Okay. Now the cap rate, the higher the cap rate, the lower the value. The lower the cap rate, the higher the value. Get that? So the income approach would use for anything that has an income. And that goes back to that question about the apartment building. The questions that I remember seeing, say new construction and say it hasn't been any rent yet. You can go and say, okay, I built an apartment complex that has 30 units. It's on an acre of land. It has a pool. And there's one down the street. We just built this one, brand new construction, just finished it. This one here cost me $3 million to build. So we have a new one down the street, or we have an old one down the street that's 20 years old, and it has 30 apartments, an acre of land, and a pool. So essentially it's the same building, okay? They go through and they use cap rate on this because they can tell how much was, how much of it was, or how much, what's the net income? Sorry, I got distracted by my computer. What the net income was, and they can divide that by a cap rate, and they can give you a value, and say they give you that value of $5 million. Now you could technically say this brand new one that cost $3 million, since it's virtually identical to this one, that it should be valued at the same. But the way I was explained is this one, you could have a better view, could be closer to a few amenities. It could have tenants that have been there since it opened. So it's at a steady 90% occupancy. Whereas the new one, you don't have any occupants. So right now you're at 0% occupancy, 100% vacancy. So you can't look at this one and say, yes, that one will make exactly what this one's going to make, so it's worth the same amount of money. If you were to buy this one for $5 million, you're already making income because it's at 90% occupancy. If you buy this one, you have to fill it. You have to get a property management company to run it. We don't know how expensive it's going to be. You could be 2 miles down the street and your water bill could be double. Your electric could be double, depending on what electric company you went with. All that. That's why they use the cost approach for that question, is because if you bought this right now, new construction, no one in it, you could drive 10 minutes down the road, buy an acre of land, build a 30-unit apartment complex, and put a pool in for $3 million again. So they're not going to give you more for this one when they could literally build the exact same thing down the street and have 0 occupants as well. Your sales comparison, that's the one you'll see in pretty much all residential. What they do is you have the house you want to sell. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot. Okay. And what they'll do is they'll find comparables. And you hear that a lot in real estate. These are my comparable houses. Okay, so this one's a 3-bed and it's a 1.5 bath and it's 1,500 square foot. This one's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath and it's 1,600 square foot. This is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath and it's only 1,200 square feet. You can't get into my houses. All right, so what they do here is this one just sold for 200 grand. This one just sold for 225. And this one sold for 190. So what they'll do here to get you a price for this, for an appraised price for this, is they'll look at these and see, okay, this one is a little bigger. So we got one more bedroom. Okay. Change pen color. So we got one more bedroom. We got same amount of bathrooms. And we got 100 more square feet. So for here, we determine the extra bedroom is worth 10,000. The extra 100 square feet is worth 5,000. Okay. Now we go over here. Same number of bedrooms. This is a 1/2 bath instead of another full bath, and the same square footage. Okay. So we'll determine here that 1/2 bath compared to a full bath, sorry, is 5,000. Okay. Now over here we have the same bedrooms, but we have one less bathroom and 300 less square feet. All right, and we'll determine that the extra bathroom is 10K and the extra 300 square feet, 5K. I don't know. I'm just kind of making these numbers up just to show you. So for here, and we're not changing the price of this. We don't mess with the price of the house that we are appraising. We mess with the prices of these houses. So here we're going to say this, because this has a 1/2 bath more than this one, that new price is 205K. Okay, and here it's got one more bedroom, so we take off 10K, and it's got 100 more street, so we take off 5K. So we're looking at 210,000. Here we have same number of bedrooms, we have an extra bath, so we add 10K to that, and we have 300 more square feet, so we add 5K to that. So that puts that one at 205. So when the appraiser is going to look at this house, you got to take into consideration a few other things with the house. You know, everything's good, the plumbing's good, the electric's good, all that stuff. But you're looking at the appraisal amount is going to end you somewhere between the 205 and the 210. So that would be your average there. So that's how they do the cost of, or the comparison, sales comparison approach. When you do this, you are only changing these numbers. You do not change anything about this house here. This house stays the same. And you have to determine what the differences are valued at. Differences for garages, number of bathrooms, square footage, all those things will have a monetary value that you can adjust in your comparables to give you a value of this. Well, I hope that helps explain the differences in appraisals.